Okay, so welcome guys, welcome back. Welcome to the next episode of the Beginner's Guide. So this is episode 2. So we're going to be covering order blocks this time. So again, it's just going to be another simple introduction just into what order blocks are. I'm not going to go into too much detail because again, I want to save that for some content later on to avoid any kind of confusion or overwhelming people with too much information. So let's not waste any time. Without further ado, let's go straight into it. So what is an order block? So an order block is when we trade past a candle and return to a specific area before continuing in price, right? So very simple. We trade past a specific area on a candle in which where price will return back to and then continue from. So what is the difference between a bullish and a bearish order block? So a bullish order block, as you can see transposed on the left hand side, is made out of a bearish candle followed by consecutive bullish candles, right? So the actual order block is the bearish candle followed by the consecutive bullish candles, right? And what is a bearish order block? So of course a bearish order block is transposed on the right hand side. A bearish order block is just made out of bullish candles or candle followed by consecutive bearish candles. So very simple example on the left and right, easy. So where will price want to trade off of in an order block? So if it's a bullish order block as transposed on the left hand side, price will want to trade off of the open of the bearish candle in the order block, right? Simple. If it's a bearish order block as transposed on the right hand side, price will want to trade off of the open of the bullish candle in the order block. Simple as that. So what is considered a strong order block? So if we have a fair value gap overlapping the mitigation zone on which we've just gone over, then this will be considered a really strong order block. Now again, there are many different variations to what makes an order block strong, but I'm only going to include this one for now simply because we went over fair value gaps in the previous video. So this episode will be able to plug in directly with the previous one, and it's something that's not really too hard to remember. So that's one thing I'll mention for now, but of course there are multiple things that makes an order block high probability a strong order block, right? The one other thing is PD arrays. Okay, so obviously a fair value gap's a PD array, an order block is a PD array. So what are PD arrays? So PD arrays consist of the 5 main PD arrays. Now there are more than this, but these are the main PD arrays in SMC, and these are the only ones that I use, and for the most part what the majority of traders use, and that is fair value gaps, order blocks, mitigation blocks, breaker blocks, and rejection blocks. Now we will cover the remainder of the ones on the list which we haven't already, but for now, order blocks and fair value gaps, that's all we need to focus on. PD array simply just stands for premium discount array. So these are the PD arrays that we use to trade. Simple, that's it, simple. So what are some tips for order blocks? So this is one I'll include early because I think this is a good one to include. But if there are too many candles in an order block, go up one time frame and the candles will subtract into a smaller order block. So for example, here, you can see this has got the aesthetic of a bearish order block, right? But there's just too many candles. It's not necessarily that clean. However, you can see when I go up a time frame, these candles condensed into a smaller amount of candles, right? So they subtract into a smaller amount of candles. So if you're ever on a time frame and you feel like you are using too many order blocks, too many candles within an order block, what you can do is you can just go up one time frame or two, really depends on the time frame you're on, and it will subtract into a cleaner order block. And to be fair, it's best to use it like that. Find the time frame where the order block is the most cleanest on. Okay, so now we're on the chart, guys, all right? So let's just go over some examples of order blocks. Now, this is really difficult because there's so many variations of order blocks, right? And this is why people get so confused when they first initially learn about them. But I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible, right? So let's just go over what some order blocks look like, because the ones that were transposed on the slides earlier, they are like your textbook order blocks, right? Like that is the typical aesthetic of an order block. However, you'll find that when you're actually in a real market, you're not going to see this, right? They're going to look a lot more. If I can just find some here. You know what? If I just go to the 15-minute, this should help. So I can see so many, but I'm trying to find an example. So here, so this would be an example of a bearish order block, right? Consecutive bullish candles going up, candles going down, and then a retest here. Now, obviously, this order block didn't hold, but that's a whole nother video within itself as well. Why some order blocks won't hold, some will, etc. So that was a bearish order block example. So let's find a bullish order block, right? So we just go here. So here would be, so here's an example. So here's a good example of what I was talking about earlier. So this is a bullish order block, right? Bearish candle, consecutive bullish candles going up, and the retest here. But this is just too many candles to look at, right? So one thing you could do if you saw this is you could go up a time frame, right? You could go up a time frame, and these candles would basically condense into smaller candles. So that's one thing you can do with order blocks. But again, I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible for now. So that was a bullish order block example. See if we can find any more here. Okay, here's another bullish example. Down candles going up. We test into here, and it does respect it on the short term, but again fails after. But here is an example of a high probability order block, right? Bearish candles followed by the consecutive bullish candles, and there's an overlapping fair value gap here, which makes this a strong order block. So I think you get the point. I don't want to bang on too much on this video and waste time. I think you get the idea of what order blocks are. But for now, that's all you need to know. The basic aesthetic of order blocks. And as the videos transpire, I will start to go into more detail about order blocks, about other PD arrays, and the different nuances behind them. But yeah, let's just keep it just as that for now, guys. But I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.